This is K9WLW. I'm following up on my last video where I demonstrated how to connect to YSF and FCS reflectors by utilizing the Wires X button on your Yaesu Fusion radio. The radio I have for this demonstration is a Yaesu FT2D. So if you have a 3D or a 5D, and probably even a 1D, the features are pretty similar, and the Wires X button functions are pretty much applicable to all those radios. And I believe the mobile radios, the FTM 400, 300, and I believe there's a 200 out nowadays, I've lost count, that have Wires X button on them. Okay, well, we're going to go a little deeper here, and I'm going to show you with your Pi-Star hotspot how you can exactly not only set up for YSF on your Pi-Star hotspot, but also have on standby your YSF cross modes, YSF to DMR, YSF to NXDN, and YSF to P25. And with all those switches turned on, YSF mode, YSF to DMR, YSF to NXDN, and YSF to P25, you are ready to roll into the ability to literally jump from any one of those four networks with nothing but the Wires X button and the radio. Okay, when you activate all those modes, you have to hit apply changes, and then you have to do the Pi-Star waiting game. I've already done that, so I'll spare you the wait. Now, one thing you will notice with all these cross modes up and running, the YSF system configuration section has grown. Normally, when you're in YSF only, it's only 3 lines. The top 3 lines, YSF startup host, uppercase host files, and Wires X pass-through. Okay, to give you an idea on how I set those up, I set up the YSF startup host as none. The reason I do that is I want to use the Wires X button to select my reflectors, not have the hotspot and then hitting apply changes. That takes a lot longer, and it's a lot more work doing it that way. Again, the idea is to do it with the radio, not with the dashboard. Uppercase host files I have off. I believe the only radio that I know of in the Yaesu world where you want to have that on is the FT70. Apparently it doesn't recognize small case letters in the host file names, so they have to be converted to uppercase. However, every other Fusion radio I've known of, you want that off. Okay, Wires X pass-through. This is important. In my last video, I suggested leaving that switch on, and I reported in the video that you need that on in order for the Wires X commands to allow you to navigate the YSF and FCS reflectors. After doing some research, I found out that is not true. If all you're doing is YSF, you can turn that switch off, and you can still use the Wires X button. I haven't tested it, but I've been told that it will work. That said, I'm going to leave that switch on because after doing my research just the other day, I found out the cross modes require the Wires X pass-through switch on. So, having it on will not hinder your YSF and FCS reflector access, and having it on will certainly assist you and allow you to use the Wires X button to go to DMR, to go to NXDN and P25 networks. So that said, I see no reason to leave the switch off ever, even if all I'm doing is YSF work. I mean, it doesn't hurt it in any way to leave it on, and it certainly gives you more flexibility with it on, with your cross-moding. Okay, moving along. Below that, you have YSF to DMR CCS7 DMR ID. You should have a DMR ID, obviously, to be accessing the DMR world. I have my DMR ID. You'll see a 04 there. That is called an ESS ID, and that's because I have multiple hotspots connected to Brandmeister, and each one has a different ESS ID. I've changed this one to 04, so that it will not impact what talk groups are active on the other hotspots. If they're all the same or they're all none, when you key up a talk group on one hotspot, the others will follow you there whether you want them to or not. This is on Brandmeister, so you want to have separate ESS IDs if you have multiple hotspots. If this is your only one, then you can leave that as none. But you can select anything from none to 0, 1, all the way up to 99. So there's quite a bit of availability there. Okay, below that you have your DMR master. Again, I'm focusing on Brandmeister, so I selected Brandmeister 3102. You can select whatever Brandmeister server you want. And then, of course, right below that you have the hotspot security, which is your Brandmeister hotspot password. So hopefully you've already had that set up. Again, anyone that's familiar with Brandmeister and DMR on hotspot should already know about that. Okay, I have other videos going back, many videos addressing that if you want to go back through my history on this channel. Now, DMR talk group. This is something I want you to pay close attention to. I selected talk group 4000. 4000 talk group is the unlink command from any dynamic DMR talk group. Anytime I hit apply changes, I want it to automatically unlink any and all Brandmeister dynamic groups. I'm going to be using the YSF button to access DMR talk groups. I don't need the hotspot to do it, so I want it to default to unlinking whenever I leave the DMR network. Then below that, I have YSF to NXDN. It asks you to punch in your NXDN ID. Now, this isn't as complicated as you might think. You can go to radioid.net. That's the same website that you requested a DMR ID, and they have a link there to request an NXDN ID. You simply put in the request. You should have an email address registered with them already if you have a DMR ID, and they will send you an email with an NXDN ID. Mine is 729. Below that, NXDN startup host, I have selected none, just like I did with YSF. Again, I'm using the YSF button to access, not the hotspot. And then below that, YSF to P25, CCS7 DMR ID, and that one you have to type in, and you want to make sure it's the same as your actual DMR ID. 312841 is mine. And lastly, the P25 startup host, I've also set the default reflector to none. Again, I'm using the YSF button to do the navigating. Okay, that is it for the hotspot. I hope that all made sense. Okay, and the reason I may sound a little rushed is this video, I'm going to go through quite a few commands, and it's going to take a little longer. So I hope that you, if you're not comfortable with what I just went over on the setup, you may want to watch that part of the video, or you may want to slow it down, pause it until it sinks in. But anyway, it's very important that you follow those steps precisely for this to work the way I want you to see in this situation. Okay, I'm not linked to anything. All those modes are on standby, or I should say all those networks. And now to speak with the hotspot, I'm going to do a quick press of the YSF button, just like I did with YSF in my last video. And if it doesn't connect, do a quick press again. There we go. Now, again, if you watched my last video, I mentioned that I created 5 folders. In the folders, I've stored YSF reflectors in the top folder, and I named this folder YSF. I've named the Fusion FCS reflectors that I saved as favorites in the second folder, named it FCS. The third folder, I named DMR. The fourth folder, I named NXDN. The fifth folder I named P25. I want to keep everything separate and organized so that I know which network I'm going into. Okay, now if you watch my last video, you can see how to add and store your favorite reflectors in these folders. Okay, if you watch my earlier cross mode videos, YSF to DMR, YSF to P25, YSF to NXDN, I showed you in those videos how you can store your favorite P25s and NXDNs and your DMR talk groups from Brandmeister in these folders. So you may want to review those videos after watching this one to kind of get the feel of it. Okay, first I'm going to just very quickly access the YSF reflector. I'm going to tap on the YSF folder, see what I have in there stored. If it doesn't connect, you tap a couple again, looking for the green light to show on the top of the radio. That tells me that it's reading, and it didn't read, so I'll keep doing that until it connects. Of course, it's not going to cooperate. Okay, stand by a minute. Let me see if I have a setting messed up. I'm going to put a pause on the video. Okay. Sorry, I had a technical issue that I had to get up and running. I was getting interference from my other hotspot that was jamming up my ability to communicate with this hotspot. So I had to shut the other Pi-Star down for the duration of the video. Okay, let's give it a go again. I'm going to hit this quick press of the Wires X button. There's the connection. Okay, I'm not linked to anything yet. I'm going to do search and direct. I'm going to go into YSF and see what YSF reflector I can access there. See, I'm getting the green now. See, I fixed that glitch. Okay, let's say I want to go to Carolina link. I've stored that one as a favorite. I just tap on it. It is linked. Get connected. I hit the back button, and you can see Carolina link is up and running. And that's how I link to a YSF. If I want to go to an FCS reflector, I can just go to FCS and see what I have stored in that little folder. Okay, I've got FCS 00390, which is another America's link. Okay. Let's see if that gets me in there. There we are, America's link. All right, there's traffic there. Now to unlink, you want to press and hold the band button, but you have to wait for a break in the action. There we go. Okay, not connected, so I unlink from America's link. So I got out of a busy group there. Now, let's say I want to go over to DMR. Well, I can't just tap on DMR and find a talk group. I actually have to go to search and direct. And I have to connect to the YSF to DMR server. Well, in order to do that, I have to know the 5-digit number of that server, and it's a pretty easy one. It's 00002. That's 4 zeros followed by a 2. So I hit ID. Remember, we use this to select a YSF reflector by its 5-digit number. Well, the 5-digit number for YSF to DMR is you hit the ID, it gives you the pound. You hit 00002. Then you hit the enter key, and it should connect me to YSF to DMR. And it didn't read, so let's try it again. There we go. There we go. It shows me YSF to DMR, and because I'm linking in again, it connects me to local, which is really not a talk group. Now to search for a talk group, now that I'm on the DMR network, I've stored some DMR talk groups, and I show you how to do that in my previous YSF to DMR video. So I'm just going to shorten this video up and actually show you the navigation. I'm going to tap and see what DMR groups I've saved as favorites. All right, let me try it again. Okay, there's worldwide. Let's try that one. It unlinks every time because remember the 4000 I put on the dashboard on the DMR or the configuration? It unlinks from a prior talk group automatically, and then it links into 91. So now it shows I'm linked into talk group 91. Sometimes you don't hear traffic. You got to key up to activate the group. So if you're not sure if you're in the group or not, just do a quick key up with DMR. All right, one quick key up and you should activate the group if it isn't active already. And of course, there's a lot of people keying up there, and they're so quick I can't even get their call sign. Okay, hang on, I got to adjust my hand here. To get out of the group, again, just like leaving a YSF or FCS reflector, press and hold the band button. You're out of the group. Let's say we want to go YSF to NXDN, or I can go to another DMR group. I'll search for another one. See what else I stored in here. Oops. I hit the wrong folder. I want to go to DMR. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to link to, I have to relink to YSF to DMR. So I have to go search and direct, ID 00002, enter. There we go, I'm back to YSF. You have to get to YSF to DMR first to go into a talk group. All right, let me try another talk group now. All right, I can go to USA Bridge 3100. Hit the back button. I'm in 3100. If you're not sure if you dynamically activate it, just a quick push to talk release. You should have the group active then. Again, it's always good to just do a quick push to talk to be sure. And now I can go to another group. I can just search. Again, I didn't hit the unlink, so I can just go to another talk group. I could go to Ohio linked, or the Ohio statewide group, which is 3139. It unlinked from 3100 and automatically connected to 3139. Okay, so that's how you can navigate around the DMR talk groups. When you want to leave DMR, press and hold the band button. You're unlinked from everything. Let's say I want to go to NXDN. First thing you have to do is search and direct. The YSF to NXDN reflector is reflector number 00003. So you hit ID 00003. Enter. There you go, YSF to NXDN. Now when I search and direct, I can search for NXDN reflectors. Oh, there's NXDN 1200 Florida. I'll try that one. Okay, it actually announces when you link in. And okay, it didn't update. I am connected to 1200, but I'll press and hold the X to get rid of the wires X mode. Then I'll do a quick tap of it again, and it should refresh. There, I'm in 1200. It shows it now. I've synchronized it. Sometimes when you jump out of into the first talk group on NXDN, it doesn't synchronize. So you have to get rid of the X by pressing and holding the X till it goes away, and then a quick tap of it, and it reconnects the YSF mode, and it should be correct. So now we're good there. Okay, I can go to another NXDN reflector if I want. Again, I stored a few. I could go to worldwide. I'll try that one. I think that's 65,000. Try it again. There we go. It should get us in.
6, 5, 0, 0, 0.
Okay, hit the back button a couple of times, and it shows, well, I guess you got to resynchronize it. So I'm pressing and holding the X to get out of YSF mode. Quick tap of it again, just to be sure. Okay, there it is, talk group 65,000, so I'm in there. All right, to get out, press and hold the band button. And we're out. Now let's jump over to YSF to P25. You have to hit search and direct. This one is ID number 00004. Enter.
2, 0, 0.
Okay, so there's YSF to P25. Let's see, I think it might have me connected on something already. Oh, it did have me connected still in 102.00. I didn't do an unlink. Okay, here's something that I just learned. I would hit the band button to unlink and go to another network, but the network behind the scenes had me connected to 102.00 when I connected back to YSF P25, and that was because I was in it earlier tonight. So, learn as you go. In the P25 and in the NXDN world, you have to do an unlink to get out of a talk group first, then you can hit the band button to get out of the network. I stored the P25 unlink, which is talk group 9999, and also in the NXDN folder, they have a talk group 9999 that's an unlink, so I'm going to do the unlink. I forgot to do that earlier. There. Now it says talk group 9999. I'm unlinked. Now I can hit the band button to get out of P25. So now I'm unlinked from everything. So I'm going to go back to YSF to P25. I'm going to show you one other thing about the YSF to P25 that's different from all the other cross modes. And it's very, very important. Okay, the ID 00004. Enter. There we go. It's not linked into a group, it's just the YSF to P25. Now, let's say I want to connect to a P25 reflector. I've stored a favorite or two in here. Okay, 31171.
2311171.
All right, I am linked in. Okay, now you have to get out of the YSF mode after you've connected to P25. The reason is you'll notice the radio's in digital narrow mode. On YSF, FCS reflectors, we usually talk in digital narrow mode. When you're cross-moding to DMR, you have to be in digital narrow mode. Okay, when you cross-mode to NXDN, you must be in digital narrow or DN mode. P25 is the exception. If you key up in digital narrow mode, everyone will see your transmission on that reflector that's monitoring it, but they won't get any audio from you. So you have to get out of YSF mode by pressing and holding the X. And you have to hit the mode button to go to VW mode. So you must get out of YSF mode. You say, well, why do you have to get out of YSF? Well, every time you go back into YSF mode, it switches you to DN. And there's no way to change the mode unless you get out of YSF mode. So once you've linked in, you got to go press and hold the X to get rid of the wires X, tap the mode button to VW, and then you'll be heard on the P25 reflector. Okay, you got to remember that. That's a quirk. They will only hear your audio if you're using VW mode on the Fusion radio. And every time you hit the wires X button, it automatically switches you to DN. So you got to remember that. Okay, so if I want to go to another P25 reflector, oops, I messed up there. Let me try it again. I think I hit the NXDN list and I didn't mean to do that. I'll go to 31, whatever this is. Or P25 America.
2102000.
Hit the back button a couple of times, or once, and you can see I'm in talk group 10200. Okay, to get an unlink, I stored the unlink 9999 talk group in the folder. Again, my previous YSF to P25 video, I show you how to do that. So I'm going to look for the unlink. There it is. And now I am disconnected from the P25 reflector. 9999 is the unlink. Press and hold the band button. I'm even out of YSF to P25, so I'm unlinked from everything now. So now that is it. And of course, if I want to go back to YSF, now that I've unlinked from everything, I can just go to YSF or FCS, Carolina link, which is a YSF reflector. There we go. I'm in Carolina link. So band button to unlink. Okay, well anyway, I know that was kind of long, but we covered a lot of networks. The cross modes with the wires X command, once you get the feel of it and the hang of it and some of the quirks of it, I think they work pretty well with the Yaesu radio. And you've got access to 4 digital type networks. You've got obviously the YSF C4FM networks, FCS C4FM. They're technically one big network, I guess. You've got the DMR with Brandmeister. Works quite well. I haven't tried it with other DMR networks. That's just getting a little bit out there. Maybe someday I'll do that, but that's really getting off the beaten path. Brandmeister by far is the busiest DMR network if you want to make QSOs or hear radio traffic. You're not going to run into as much traffic in the NXDN world or P25, but hey, doesn't hurt to have access over there. You can actually QSY with your friends that if they have a Fusion radio, you can cross mode and talk on those networks. And you'll run into guys that are operating P25 and NXDN radios on those networks, and you're able to QSO with them. So, again, I'm pretty impressed with how the Pi-Star responds to the wires X. I'm pretty impressed with the cross modes. I'm pretty impressed how the Fusion radio can cross mode to all those modes. And you can literally hop in and out of the networks with the wires X button, as I've demonstrated here. Anyway, that was a lot to cover in one video. I hope that made sense. You may want to watch my previous YSF to P25 video, my previous YSF to DMR video, and my previous YSF to NXDN video to kind of get a feel of how you can store those reflectors in the folders. I didn't get into that in this video because there was just so much navigating to do. So again, if you watch those over again, you'll get a feel for how to store the folders. This video is more about how to navigate once you've got favorites. And you can hop around, as you just saw. Anyway, that's it for now. I'm really glad that I finally got this video done. It was quite a bit of work getting everything to work right, but all's well that ends well. So I hope that was clear to everybody. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. And I will say 73s from K9WLW.